wonderful introduction. I couldn't have done it better myself. I want to thank Mary Taylor for inviting me to share a few words with you today. And I do mean a few words. I know you get nervous when there's a preacher and a minister, they kind of go on, but I'm going to be brief today. I also like to recognize Commissioner Gilman. Thank you so much for, we had a chance to talk briefly about all the wonderful work that you're doing and the state is doing around diversity issues. It's very important to have those conversations. Again, like you said, it's times like these. And also want to thank all of you, my brothers and my sisters who are here for this presentation, just to take time out to say thank you for the contributions that so many African Americans have given to our country. And as a minister and in honor of my Jamaican heritage and our country motto, which is out of many, we are one, I truly believe that we are one because of our kinship, which transcends our race, our religion, and our political affiliation. So for a few minutes, I want to speak with you as if we were at a family reunion. And at our family reunion, for my family, we always set aside time to honor our elders and to share with each other things that are going on in our lives. And you can imagine, in your family as well, that there are second cousins, distant relatives that you haven't seen or may not understand or recognize the contribution of all of our elders. So that's the vein that I really want to set our conversation, that we are a family, that we are one, that we are working together. But there are people within our family that we really want to elevate and lift up. And so for a few minutes, I'm going to just talk about just a few of those individuals that many of you may already know, others may not. So it's an opportunity, the Commissioner talked about being educated. So you may go a little bit deeper, learn some more about these individuals. And so please, as is my custom at my church and with my family, I invite you to pull up a chair and meet me at our family table for a family conversation. And so I'm going to frame our family conversation as we reflect on these individuals who have contributed significantly in our country, in our community, and even around the world for some of these individuals. And so today, we're going to frame that conversation in a labor of love. When I speak of labor of love, I'm speaking of the tireless determination, commitment, and sacrifice our forefathers endured because of their love for their family, their friends, and their communities, like I said earlier. And I'm going to start with, Mary, go to the next one. My story. As it was read in my bio, I migrated from Jamaica. I came here when I was 9 years old. And it was a difficult transition for me, again, because of my country's motto, out of many, we are one. But when I came, that's not the reality that I met and I was introduced to. I went to Freddie Wish Elementary School in the north end of Hartford. And because I talk with a patron, a lot of kids gonna tease me because of the way I spoke. And so I shut down because every day, almost every day, but in a 9-year-old mind, it felt like every day, I was being beaten up. I was being teased and ridiculed until the next year, I had a teacher named Mrs. Kupnikoff. And she saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. She saw potential, she saw opportunity. And she poured into me, and she didn't embarrass me. She didn't ask me to read and talk in class. What she did, she recognized that I was gifted with math. And so she challenged me and gave me difficult math problems. And when I completed the project, she would bring me in front of class and really just celebrate me. And after that, I just felt like I belonged, that I was valued, that I was seen. And that's how it is for many of our children today. They're not stupid, they can learn, but they want to know that they are loved, that they are valued, and they can contribute to our society. And so it is my mission, again, you heard about working for Faith Care, and I traveled to Nigeria, to Haiti, Dominican Republic, Jamaica, and other places. And in the course of my tenure at Faith Care, I discovered my life purpose. My life purpose is to die empty. but not prematurely. Each and every day I look for opportunities like these where I could pour out into someone, that I could encourage someone to let them know you are valued, that you are important. So I thank you today for allowing me to fulfill my life mission by speaking it to you and letting you know that you are important. And so as we go, there are 3 things, next slide, that are hopefully that you will take away. One, I want us to connect to our heritage. I want us to remember the spirit of those ancestors who came before us, whose shoulders that we are standing on. 2, I want us to celebrate, like I said before, the wonderful contributions of those who have given their life for the country that we live in. And then I want you to continue the legacy, to fight, to defend, to be proud, to be brilliant, to dream big, to have hope, to be resilient, and most of all, to think for a brighter future, not just for ourselves, but for our children and those who will come behind. Again, there are many that I could choose to celebrate and to elevate and lift up in your presence. But Mayor, if you go to the next slide, there's 3 that we're going to start out with. Benjamin Banneker, and again, because this is a family reunion, you know, people get involved, you talk back. Do anyone know a little bit about Benjamin Banneker? Anyone? I guess we all gonna know something. Someone in the back. Can you tell me one thing about Benjamin Banneker?
He was the one that originated the construction of Washington, D.C., the White House, and the Capitol.
Yep. He did the survey. He was commissioned to help with the survey, to find the territory, to find the land, to build our state, the Capitol, and also the White House. And so Benjamin Banneker was born on November the 9th in 1731 in Etiquette Mills, Maryland, which is now known as Etiquette City. He was the son of an ex-slave named Robert and his wife, Mary. Mary was the daughter of an English woman named Molly Walsh, a former indentured servant. He was taught by his maternal grandmother how to read, which is very unusual for that time period. And as I speak today, just remember the time frame that we're talking about in the 1731, when he was born as a slave learning how to read. He was self-taught also in math and astronomy. He was able to successfully navigate and to understand about the solar eclipse. He was phenomenal beyond his years. He also, for a short period of time, went to a small Quaker school, but again, he was self-taught. I wonder what would happen if our children today will get off of Facebook and put their face in a book. Would they be able to do things that Benjamin was able to do, to see things beyond what we see today, to look in the skies and have dreams, to go into the moon or different things that they can do. One of his early accomplishments was to construct the irrigation system for the family farm. After his father's death, Banneker ran his own farm for years, cultivating a business, selling tobacco. In 1753, Banneker was inspired to build his own clock after he received a watch. And what he did was deconstruct the watch to understand the inner workings of it. And then he built his own clock. You know, this is a man that was thinking and always wondering, what if I could do this, and what if I could do that? After making a drawing of each part of the part, he carved large version out of wood and ultimately built a clock that stayed accurate for 50 years. If my watch stayed on time for 2 years, I'm happy. He built a clock and it was accurate for 50 years. This is in the 1753. As a result, Banneker was often asked for assistance in repairing watches, checking the time, clocks, and then he eventually, the Banneker Clock Company is named after him. Again, we talked about being a surveyor for Washington, D.C., so he grew up, again, in the Maryland area. So he was able to build relationship with a lot of people in the DC area. And one of those was the Eckhart family that they had a construction company. They were doing a lot of work in that area, and so he was able to become the surveyor. And with that, his fame grew. Oh, you can actually go to the next slide, please. His fame grew, and even people in the White House started hearing about the works that he was doing. Eventually, he was well known and became known by the President George Washington, and also the Secretary of State Thomas Jefferson. And this is according to what the White House Historical Association indicated. Banneker accomplished extended into other realms, including civil rights. I couldn't believe it when I read it. He actually wrote a letter to, at that time, Secretary of State Thomas Jefferson, and he used it to really force him to address the issue about slavery and equality. He wrote, I thought, also opened the view of African Americans as more than just slaves. Thus, he wrote Jefferson a letter hoping that he would readily embrace every opportunity to eradicate the train of abuse and false ideas and opinions which were generally prevailed with respect for the African American people. He further support his point. Banneker included a handwritten manuscript of his almanac. So he created, again, because of his background with astronomy, he created an almanac to help him as a farmer to understand when is the right time to plant and to grow and to harvest his food by using that. But he included that in his letter to demonstrate his brilliance, that he was knowledgeable about so many things, because at that time they thought African Americans were idiots and they didn't understand. The next, can I have time? Okay. There was a quote that he gave that I really thought was powerful. He said, "The color of the skin is in no way connected with the strength of the mind or intellectual powers." So again, he just wanted to understand that just because he was a black man didn't mean that his brain was small or he couldn't think large concepts. And so he really wanted to make sure that everyone that came behind him had these opportunities too, to use everything that they had to make their world a better place. So I pray that we'll draw on the boldness, the entrepreneurial mindset, and intellectual strength to create opportunities for ourselves and for others. The next is Harriet Tubman. Okay, anyone have heard of Harriet Tubman? Okay. So Harriet Tubman was born Araminta Mitty Ross, somewhere between 1820 and 1822. They weren't sure, again, because of medical records and going to the hospital. Even my mom, growing up in Jamaica, she was born on April 14th, but on her birth certificate, she had like April 17th. By the time she got to the hospital, they put the date that she got to the hospital as her birthday. So she celebrated her birthday the entire month of April. So that was one good thing. But Harriet grew up and worked tirelessly for freedom for her people. After she escaped as a slave, she immediately returned back to rescue families and friends. One of the first people that she rescued was her niece, that she came back and took with her back to New York. But she didn't stop there. She made over 20 trips to save people that were enslaved in the South. One of the things that she was also accomplished, one of her many accomplishments, was more profound, because imagine the possibility, given that she was a woman who had escaped slavery during the era in which she lived. Again, I want you always to go back to that time frame to understand the power of these individuals and what they really accomplished, the magnitude that it took to do these things, and the strength and determination. Some of her accomplishments are that Harriet was an enslaved woman who escaped several times, escaped and returned 20 times to save other enslaved people. She was the conductor of the Underground Railroad. The Underground Railroad was a system that they used to transport individuals to get to freedom up to north. So she was the conductor of that. She spearheaded that. But even it has been said that African American midwives would pray over the baby boy, hoping that that child will be the next Moses to set them free. But little did they realize that the Moses that they were praying for would be a woman. So again, for the women in the room, just again, you could do mighty things. Don't be afraid to step into your space to do what you believe you've been called to do. Harriet lived a full life, but after saving enslaved people in the South and serving the Union in the Civil War, she was like a spy. She would scout out territories and bring back information to the Union. She turned her efforts towards women's suffrage. Women's suffrage was a long fight, and it took over 100 years for women to gain the right to vote. But Harriet worked with ladies such as Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Stanton to try to help make a difference in women's lives. Today, let us connect with the vision and the faith of Harriet Tubman to see beyond the impossible, to see what no one else can see. Dr. Martin Luther King said, faith is taking the first step even when you don't see the whole staircase. So we have to have faith and be bold to step out into our reality. The next is Charles Richard Drew. He was born in 1940, a little closer to our era, as an African-American surgeon and a medical researcher. Charles Richard Drew was an African-American physician who developed the ways to process and store blood plasma in the blood bank. He directed the blood plasma program for the United States as well as Great Britain in World War II. Drew developed a method of processing and preserving blood plasma and the blood without cells. The thing that was important to know about Dr. Charles Drew was that he also served as a leader in the American Red Cross, and I served on their board of directors as well. And the thing that I liked was about his tenacity and determination to stand up for justice. While he was serving in that position, the laws of that time said that they had to segregate the blood from black soldiers and white soldiers. And so they would use the blood, and he would be upset that he invented this wonderful process to preserve life. He saved over thousands of lives with this process in the military for individuals that were wounded in war, but yet his people could not benefit from this process. And so he resigned his post from the American Red Cross just to protest that injustice. And that Dr. King said, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And so as a people, as a community, as a family, today, let us celebrate Dr. Charles Drew. Let us always celebrate those among us who stand up for justice. In his letter from the Birmingham jail, Dr. King said, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere, like I said. But the biggest part of that statement and that quote was, we are caught in an inescapable network of neutrality, tied to a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. And so I just want to encourage you today, because I know as state employee, you have and continue to work a labor of love. There are things that may not be perfect in the system, but yet you continue to show up to work each and every day because you have that desire to demonstrate to others that the job that you do is not in vain. I'm letting you know, because as I work at a healthcare company, we see and we rely on the state for the support and the guidance for the work that we do. So I just came today to celebrate you and to thank you for the work that you do, that is not in vain. It's a labor of love because of the children, the families that you serve throughout Connecticut. They benefit from the work that you do. And I just always want to remember the sacrifices of others. There are many that will not be written in records book about the work that you do. And so this last person I want to show, because this is persons that also speaks for you, that represent the work that you do. Cecilia Lewis. Oh, excuse me, they had to transfer over about the type on Charles. It's supposed to be Cecilia's contribution. But she saved the life of her son. She taught her children to thrive, left a legacy of faith, prayer, and love. The reason that I included this slide was that Cecilia Lewis is my mom. And we lost her last year. But I think about all the moms that make this sacrifice. Their name may not get in the record books, like I said, but each and every day, black moms, brown moms are making sacrifices to save the lives of their children. My mom's story is that I remember when I was about 7 or 8, my mom coming home and she was bleeding. And I was told that she got hit with a rock. And then fast forward about 30 something years later. And we were having this conversation on Easter Day. And my mom was talking about how proud she was of her children. And I'm the baby boy, so I'm a little spoiled. And so she said that she was so proud of my oldest brother. And I was like, what about me? And she said, no, the reason why I'm so proud of Orville is that I didn't think he would be alive today. And so she continued to tell me about what happened. And again, I was told she got hit with a rock. And she said what really happened was that he got caught up with a gang. And she got wind of the news that this gang was beating my brother up. She ran as fast as she could to get to my brother. When she got there, one of the guys that were beating him up had a machete, chopped her over the head. She's bleeding. And then she decided right then and there, I gotta do something to save this boy's life. So that was the reason why she migrated to the United States. I never knew that. It just put my mom in a different light. I love my mom. I tell, when she was alive, I would call her on my birthday and say, happy anniversary, you had me. And you know, she was my first love. That's the person that taught me about relationship and how to be a man. She taught me about thriving. The reason that I could be here today, and Paul is a cancer thriver. I say I'm a cancer thriver, not just a survivor. I've been cancer free for over 30 years. And I said because of her faith and determination and prayer, I was able to thrive. She taught me how to, she taught me how to sew. She taught me how to cook. She taught me how to iron. Right now in my house, I'm the one that does most of those stuff. Because my mom taught me that, so she wanted me to survive in this hard and cruel world, to know that I could overcome. I'm an overcomer. I'm not just a survivor. She wanted me to thrive, and that's what a lot of black men, brown moms, all moms, they want for their children. They want the very best for them. And then she left us a legacy of faith. And so today, we want to make sure that whatever your heritage is, whatever your beliefs are, don't forget about them. Pick up those mantles, pick up those beliefs, and march forward. Dr. King said, if you can't fly, run. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. But whatever you do, keep on moving forward. So pick up those, continue to have those faith and beliefs that your family have given you, but don't give up. Don't quit. There's so many people relying on you that you can't throw in the towel. They need to know that you'll be there for them. Because what we do is not just for us, it's for the next generation, that they'll have hope and aspiration to have great dreams. Thank you so much.